well. Now, what else is going on this week? I want to talk about Carers Week for a second, because this week is actually Carers Week. It's an annual campaign that you may well be aware of to raise awareness of caring itself, as well as highlighting the challenges that unpaid carers face. And it also recognises the contribution that they make to families and communities throughout the UK, amongst other things. Well, Katharine McKay is a PhD student studying at the University of York and has been caring for her mum since childhood. And I'm pleased to say Katharine's on the line this afternoon. Hi, Katharine. Good to have you with us.
Hi, how are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you very much. You sound ridiculously happy for this time on a Monday afternoon.
Well, it could always be worse, couldn't it? At least the thunder's gone.
That is true. That is true. That was a pretty big thunderstorm earlier on. I'm glad I was inside at the time. Can you, if you don't mind, just tell us a bit about the struggles that you faced as a carer?
Well, I became a carer at 10. So throughout the majority of my childhood, a lot of it, like isolation, for example, because my mother was unable to drive due to her anxiety, which meant that I couldn't always go to my friends' parties and see them. Added stress on top of worrying about exams. I'd worry about my mum and her appointments and her medication and looking after my little brother. But, you know, it's a reasonably okay experience because you learn so much from it and it really challenges you to become the best person you can be.
Yeah, that sounds, I'm sure it'll be relatable to a lot of people, that and an incredibly inspirational story to hear about. If you don't mind me asking, Katharine, and you can tell me to butt out if I ask the wrong question, but did you ever resent caring as a youngster? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think what I actually resented was the lack of support from external places because I love my mum and her illness is part of her. I'm also disabled and I wouldn't want anyone to resent that part of me. But what I resented was the fact that when we asked for help, it wasn't always there. And obviously, we can always go on about funding of health services and things. There's just not the level of support there needs to be. And that's what most people actually end up resenting, even if obviously we find a figurehead to get that anger out, because I was a teenage girl. Obviously, there were moments where I thought things that I am now a bit embarrassed about.
Of course, and I'm sure you're not the only person who's been in that situation as well. So what support is there, or what support did you actually find when you were younger?
Well, I grew up in Hertfordshire, and whilst York is now my hometown, there was very little support in my home county, and the benefit of York is it has such an amazing carer centre. They'll take you on trips. Over lockdown, we've baked cookies and done Zoom quizzes, as we all have done. And it's being able to be given the support to have respite, to care away from your family. York have even taken me on a few residentials, which have been absolutely amazing. I did get a mentor for a couple of months, I was about 13, but that was about it. Other than that, the only thing my school really did for me was understand if I had to come in late, which is quite it's still really good of them.
I just want to ask you what you're studying at the moment.
I'm studying archaeology.
Right, okay. And were you worried about leaving, home to come up here to study that?
Yeah, I was terrified because it's a long journey and very expensive on the train as well if something goes wrong, with my mother being the only driver in the family. But I knew that I had to, pursue my education both for myself, because I've always loved learning, but also so that I can ensure that I can provide for my family later on down the line.
Yeah, exactly. And what does Carers Week mean to you personally?
I think Carers Week is about having the chance to be visible and be vocal and be heard about what we do and why we need support and how we can get that support, the changes in laws, the fundraising, and just the acceptance from employers, for example, in why we might need some reasonable adjustments.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of support from some employers and virtually none from others. So it definitely needs evening out, I think.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. How's your mum now?
She's okay. She's never going to work again. I personally think she's sacrificed ever getting better to ensure that I could access my education to the best of my abilities, and I'm very grateful for that. But obviously it's still tough. She's developed physical disabilities in her older age. She's hopefully getting an operation soon. She recently came out of hospital after quite a big scare. But I'm enjoying being able to see her again. It's been about a year. So hopefully with lockdown and her having her vaccines and everything means I'll be able to hug her again soon.
Oh, onwards and upwards. Well, I wish you the best of luck. Do pass up my personal regards on to your mum as well. And thank you for talking to us and lifting a little bit about caring, what you've done and Carers Week itself. Really appreciate it, Katharine.
Thank you very much. Have a nice
Good
week.
To speak to you. Thank you. That's Katharine Macy there, a carer and PhD student studying in York. And what does Carers Week mean to you? Are you a carer or you know someone who is, and the great job that they do?